right, ready. Let's go. Start it up.
Yeah, what's going first? Trey, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey man, I just got back from New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? Like the food was great.
Yeah,
The weather was great for my hair. The humidity. Really moisturized the hair.
yeah.
You know, and yeah, it was a great time, man. Like I got to visit my sister. I got to see my grandparents for the first time in like the last 2 years because of
Damn, that's
COVID
good.
and shit. Yeah, so it was dope. It was really dope.
That's awesome, man. Welcome. You back in NY?
Yes, thank God.
NY? He said, "Thank God."
My weed man isn't in New Orleans, so
That's crucial.
yeah,
Yeah,
he doesn't deliver that far.
No, that's I think you might have to find a new man.
He does, but the minimum is outrageous. So
yeah, no, I hear that. That's it's a tough commute.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
But that's good. Yeah, I was in your city while you were not in your city. I had to hold it down while you were gone.
I was so upset because then I was like, yo, I could have gone to the concert.
Yeah.
I was very upset about that, And I missed you, but I'm gonna be out there in Boston at some point this summer for sure. I'm gonna visit my cousin, MJ.
Yeah, we know.
And Bryce.
Shout out MJ, man. Yeah, shout out Bryce. Shout out MJ.
Yeah, shout out Bryce. Shout out MJ.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna see them at some point this summer. So
that's what's up.
But yeah, how you been doing, man? What's how was the show though?
The show. So in case y'all didn't know, my brother performed in New York. My younger brother did a little concert at a nightclub in New York. It was good. It was really good. A few of the homies popped out, and he was the second act out of 3, so he came on right before the main act, and he did really well. It was like a small venue, so it was real like intimate and personal, and he killed it. So it was fun. Wish you were there, but like you said, we'll link up like over the summer and stuff. Maybe do a couple live podcasts, with video or something.
Yes, that'd be dope. That would really be dope.
And that'll especially be good too when like the movies start coming out and more of these shows start coming out. Last week we were talking about Loki. That'll be coming in like less than 2 weeks now.
Yeah, literally. In less than 2 weeks, like a week from Wednesday, right?
A week from next Wednesday. Yeah. So that'll be good. Like once the summer kicks in, we'll have a lot more to talk about, and obviously Shang-Chi, things like that.
Very excited for that. Can't wait to review those and see those.
Yeah, man. I think that probably the movie that we're all most excited for, most anticipating, and has had the most theories, I would say without question, is Spider-Man No Way Home.
Absolutely. Just because Sony is involved and there's been so many leaks, I feel like we would be just as excited, and there would be so many theories about say like the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie, but that's purely a Marvel movie, so Marvel has that shit under wraps and no one is leaking anything.
They're very tight-lipped about their productions. You don't really get much out of them.
Exactly. You're not going to get much out of them. But with Sony like Latin America will post a commercial about having 3 Spider-Man in one movie, like months ago, like literally like back in like December or something. Like why would that type of stuff would not happen. That type of reveal would not happen. So now everyone's expectation is obviously we're getting Spider-Verse, and we're getting possible cameos, possible and confirmed cameos are like rampant at this point. Like it could be anybody,
But I think that's what is starting to make the movie so exciting, is that once those theories start popping and everyone gets talking about what if this happens, what if that happens, then now it's like, well, if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be very disappointed. So I'm desperately hoping that they are doing Spider-Verse. I think that's like the best the best possible path they could go for the plot. It just seems like a no-brainer, right? Like,
oh, definitely, because like they've already laid the groundwork for there to be a multiverse. Like we've already like seen it in we already know we're going to see it in Doctor Strange, and we've already seen it in WandaVision. So we already know these things. We already know these things could happen. That reality is going to be changing a lot in the MCU over the next 5 years or so. And yeah, so like we know, and like and then there's already characters that we know are going to be in the movie from other universes.
Okay, so take us through some of the confirmed characters from the other Spider-Man movies. So in case people don't know, we're talking about the original Sam Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, and then the follow-up reboot in 2014 with Andrew Garfield. So Trey, take us through some of the characters that are going to appear in the now MCU version of Spider-Man 3.
So the main one that's like confirmed, and like he's already said that he's the worst kept secret in Hollywood, is Molina's Doc Ock.
Yep, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock.
Molina's Doc Ock, man. And they've already talked about like when he's going to show up, how he's going to show up. Somehow he's going to show up through the multiverse in the MCU at the moment that he drowns in the river in Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
And they're going to use the agent software on it.
Yeah. So would you say that Molina's Doc Ock is probably still the best on-screen Spider-Man villain we've seen?
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely I definitely feel like his performance and that movie in general definitely informed a lot of what we see in Spider-Man PS4.
And
just his and just Spider-Man's relationship with Doc Ock, and like how he becomes Doc Ock too, through like through the metal arms, like basically warping his mind.
Right. And that's a cool aspect too, just because, like you mentioned, how he is in the PS4 game. Doc Ock and Alfred Molina did a great job of this, but Doc Ock is a complex character. He's not just a through and through villain. He's got some layers to him. So now that they have him confirmed for this Spider-Man 3 in the MCU, it makes you wonder, how is he going to interact with a different Spider-Man? How is this Spider-Man going to respond to like who Doc Ock is as a person? Because this is a much different Peter Parker. It's a much different Spider-Man. He's a little bit younger. He's a little bit more sympathetic. We saw that a lot too in a Spider-Man Homecoming and his relationship with Vulture. So I'm just interested to see how they use this Doc Ock in this like different universe. Like, how is his character going to differ? What traits will he keep from that movie? Things like that.
Yeah, and speaking of traits that he would like keep from that movie, like just something to think about is just the fact that when they bring him back, he's gonna be brought back at the moment that he drowns, and at the moment that he drowns, he's a good guy. He sacrifices himself at the end of that movie.
He had a redemption arc.
Exactly. So he redeemed himself to a certain degree by sacrificing himself to destroy the thing that basically drove him crazy, and the reason why he was doing all that terrible things in the beginning. Exactly. Why he became a villain anyways. So I don't know. So like I'm unsure of how they're gonna use him, just because is he even a villain anymore? Like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna show up? Is he gonna be like a mentor? Like, I don't think that's gonna happen, because I think that the Spider-Man are gonna show that one of the Spider-Men are showing up. I like Andrew Garfield got up there on a bunch of podcasts and like told us, no, I'm not going to be in the movie. Yeah. I haven't heard anything. He's lying.
We all definitely believe that too. Yeah, for sure.
Come on, the man is lying. We know he's going to be.
Come on.
In the movie. Like, there was even his stunt double was had been on set and reposted things from the set and tagged himself in it. You know what I mean? Like he was tagged in a post from the set.
Oh yeah. And
so
mind
like,
you,
I'm like,
in
come
that
on.
quote, in that quote too, he said, "I never received a call," which is leaves it very open ended. We're gonna take that and run with it. You know, like you didn't get a call. Oh, so you got a text. It was an email.
Yeah. What really happened? Because we know that he's gonna show up in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it would make too much sense. It would make too much sense for him to be in the movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he has to be in the movie. If they're gonna do a Spider-Verse, you can't just do it with just 2 Spider-Men. It has to be that third Spider-Man. Like, I really feel like makes it into like a true Spider-Verse and like really connects all the different Spider-Men. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, because they are also gonna have Electro from Jamie Foxx's Electro is gonna be in. Is also going to be in the movie. He's definitely confirmed. He spilled the beans himself because, of course, this is a Sony movie as well. This is a Sony joint venture with Marvel. So there's going to be leaks.
Let's talk about that for a second. So you were just talking about Andrew Garfield, who, of course, was the star of the second pair of Spider-Man movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And while he is not confirmed in the movie, because like he said, you know, he's been playing very coy on podcasts and we can all but assume that he's going to show up. The villain from his second movie, Electro, Jamie Foxx, has been confirmed. And that one is also interesting. Maybe not as enticing as Doc Ock, but that's also kind of a character who's a little complex and flawed and layered. So I'm interested again to see how they like where are they going to pick up with him? You know, like what is his character going to be like?
Or I've been hearing like, is he even going to be the same Electro?
Yeah, exactly. But then that also starts to get confusing because if you're pulling Doc Ock straight from his universe, why are you not pulling Electro from his universe? You know. But you're using the same actor.
Yeah, like I feel like the actor who plays that character, I feel like that matters. Like, you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff matters because like, if they wanted to just be like any Electro, they could have gotten they could have gotten anybody to be Electro. Really,
true.
You know, and they had already teased Electro like in the first Spider-Man movie, for the MCU. So, you know. They could have gone anywhere else with it, but they chose specifically Jamie Foxx, and it's not like Jamie Foxx put out like I mean, like he tried his best. Obviously, he's a really great actor, but like his performance kind of fell flat for me in the Amazing Spider-Man.
He did the best he could with the script he was given.
Yeah, no, definitely, and. So like I didn't necessarily think that, you know, he's like the best person to play Electro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't really like but like who really is? Obviously. I mean, like he's such he can be anybody really.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, again, because of how lackluster Electro was in Amazing Spider-Man 2, it does leave a little bit of breathing room for Jamie Foxx too. If they do want to do a different direction with the character, who knows? Maybe he'll take it a different way and it'll be better than what we saw, or maybe they'll expand on what he was and make that character feel more fleshed out from Amazing Spider-Man. But like they have some creative leeway, and that's always a good thing. You know, they can do whatever they want. And we'll still consume it. So
that's true. Like, please give me more. Like I can't.
Yeah. I want more because I didn't love what I got. You know.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I wholeheartedly believe that Tobey Maguire is also going to show up in this movie.
Yeah. So that if Andrew Garfield shows up, you have to have both. You can have none of them or you have both of them, but you can't just have one. You know,
and then there was also I also believe that there's a rumor that Kirsten Dunst is going to return as Mary Jane Watson in this movie as well, because a makeup artist tagged herself in the IMDb as the makeup artist for Miss Dunst.
Interesting. That was, I remember,
like
her name was like on the early like was circulating early when the movie got announced and those rumors started to pop up. Her name, I think I remember a pretty you know, reputable source, I think, tried to confirm that she was in the movie. And I think it kind of fizzled out and people didn't take it too seriously. But like, yeah, her name was mentioned very early in this movie.
No, yeah.
That would be great. I mean, I wouldn't mind it.
And if she's gonna show up, then Tobey Maguire has to show up. It's like why have her? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why? What is she here for?
And not to say anything bad about Kirsten Dunst. I just didn't like her as Mary Jane Watson. Honestly, I didn't think she was that great of a Mary Jane Watson.
You did not like her as Mary Jane Watson? I didn't love her as Mary Jane Watson, but she was still my Mary Jane Watson. Like,
of course. Like, nothing against her. I just didn't think it was that great. I don't think they wrote her that well. So, you know, there's that. But like that's why I'm like, if she's gonna be there, then like, please, like, give me Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I think
even this out for me.
Yeah, I think that's who. I mean, obviously, the two confirmed villains returning are great, but obviously the main pulls, everyone just wants to see all the Spider-Men together. That would be a dream come true. It was what made Into the Spider-Verse so cool, seeing all the different kinds of Spider-Men work together. And again, it just feels like something that if they did in live action, it would go over just as well as it did with Into the Spider-Verse. It's just something that I have to see it, because the theory started about it and we've seen the little mock-up, whatever fan art of it. Now I have to see it. Like, I need it. And they know we need it.
Yeah. And the thing, and like also another thing to think about too, like just in terms of just like furthering this idea of the multiverse and Spider-Verse happening, is that Willem Dafoe has also like been rumored to, you know, to show up as well, to reprise his role as, you know, as Osborn.
Yeah,
as Norman Osborn. And you know, and I don't know how they're gonna do. I'm very skeptical on that, because he dies in the first Spider-Man movie, the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Spoilers, Trey.
Damn,
fans who haven't watched 2002 Spider-Man.
Sorry, I'm 19.
Dang it,
you're 19 years late, but
yeah. Sorry to the listeners at home.
He dies. Iron Man also dies at the end of Endgame.
Trey, come on, man. All right. Now you're ODing right now, bro.
Darth Vader's loose father.
Right. Are you kidding me? Unreal.
But yeah, like, I'm very skeptical on that. But yeah, like, definitely worst case scenario. Honestly, at this point, we don't see any Spider-Man, but we do see all of these, like, all of these villains come over from the multiverse. Like, that is worst case scenario, honestly. Yeah. Like if like I don't care about the, like, you know, just the confirmed. Like, I really need to see all the Spider-Men show up.
Thank you for inviting all the side characters, but you know why we're here. You know who we're waiting.
But yeah, now that we got worst case scenario out of the way, no, actually, worst case scenario would be that we don't see any Spider-Man, we don't see any extra Spider-Man in the movie, and we lose Tom Holland in the MCU.
That's, I think, the biggest concern, is that if anything that's a Sony property does too well, the big concern is that Sony thinks, oh, well, let's just deviate from the MCU and Marvel, and let's go do our own thing. Because Sony, while the early Spider-Man trilogy was really good, Sony has not really impressed anyone since then in terms of live action. They've had very a very rocky road since that trilogy,
and
they
they're
didn't
very, and they're well. Small. They're a small. They're a small production company. You know what I mean? They're not like as big as, they're definitely not as big as Disney, and they're definitely not as big as like Warner Brothers or anybody like that. So like their stuff like is like they don't put out as much either. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, true.
And Spider-Man is like their only thing, but like they still seem to fuck it up. You know what I mean? Every time. Like literally, like they've been fucking it up. Like the last good Spider-Man movie that they put out was in 2004.
Yeah, that was Spider-Man 2. Yeah,
Spider-Man 2, 17 years ago. So yeah,
so I agree. That is worst case scenario, is that somehow after this, because before we started recording, you were talking about how the title is No Way Home, and like that could be a hint from Sony saying, oh, there's no way back to the MCU. Like you're just gonna stay after this movie. You're gonna stay away from the MCU, and the Spider-Verse will open up and you'll leave. I think that's definitely worst case scenario. There's
and that is also a very cruel joke.
That would be a very, very rude joke. I would not like that at all.
Yeah, that would not go over well.
Yeah.
I don't,
that's not the type of wordplay I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's just that would be very insensitive to like the fans, I feel like.
But again,
like, I would feel this.
But again, would you be surprised if Sony did something like that? Because they have proven time and time and again that they will not listen to the cries of the fans. You know, it's absolutely. Very much like, oh, what can we do to make the most money, while also potentially perverting the very content that our fans love.
No, seriously. And like, that's what they did with Spider-Man 3. Like, they were just like, okay, we're going to sell as many toys as we can.
Yeah, we're going to have 16 villains in this movie. You know, we're going to do that. We're going to have 16 villains, and we're going to have Spider-Man lose to every single one of them. And we're just going to completely turn every single person's storyline on its head in the worst way possible.
No, literally.
And it just didn't work. And they haven't learned from that. They never learned from it.
So also a part of my best case scenario is that they decan Spider-Man 3.
So, okay, yeah, we're switching from worst case to now best case. In case you guys did not know, Trey does not like Spider-Man 3. He's not a fan. I don't love it. It does have some redeemable qualities, but whole and whole, it's just not a great film. So best case scenario, you're starting right off the bat, decanonize Spider-Man 3.
Absolutely. It is a more awful movie than we give it credit. I think that it and it just really did it all. It's like Sandman, and like Sandman's a big enough character where, you know, he can have a whole movie to himself. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to add Venom, okay? Like, you don't need to shoehorn Venom in, and you definitely don't need to shoehorn the Hobgoblin. Like,
yeah, what's the Hobgoblin? Why you have to say it like the Hobgoblin?
I mean, it's just like why? And then he doesn't even do the Hobgoblin screech. Like, come on, you know.
He doesn't even have the true Hobgoblin costume. It's not even the right color scheme.
So yeah, let's absolutely get rid of that movie altogether. Let's just get rid of that movie. And plus, it makes sense that they would, because they're bringing back Alfred Molina at the moment that he is supposedly dies in the river.
Yeah.
So like, does that mean that none of that stuff happened before? You know, does that mean that none of like Spider-Man 3 actually happened? Maybe that's just like a sick, cruel joke, a dream that Peter had or something like that.
A fever dream.
Yeah, literally a fever dream. Like, maybe it was that.
Well, we've seen a big studio do some sort of like large scale fantastical story and kind of erase the ugly parts of their history. We've seen that with the X-Men universe. They took Days of Future Past, they used it as kind of a soft reset, and they said, look, all those X-Men movies that you didn't like, those ones didn't happen. The characters were there, but the bad ones, those didn't happen. We're just going to start fresh from a new start point. And I think that's exactly what you're describing with taking decanonizing Spider-Man 3. Maybe they're just bringing Doc Ock over here from Spider-Man 2. That's where that Spider-Man picks up. And maybe they're setting up a Sinister Six type situation. Like that could be a new avenue that they go down, you know?
Yeah.
But
and also just random, just because you mentioned X-Men, I also hate the X-Men movies. I hate them.
That's another episode. Another episode.
I hate
they
them.
Can't hurt you anymore, Trey.
But I digress.
Yeah, they can't hurt you.
But yeah, also best case scenario, we get all the Spider-Man. We get every single,
definitely.
Spider-Man iteration. We get Tom Holland. We get Andrew Garfield, and we get Tobey Maguire. Like that's best case scenario. And at the end of it, Tobey Maguire, basically, hands the mantle off to him as the Spider-Man. That I feel like that would be really dope for fans, because a lot of people see Tobey Maguire as their Spider-Man, and they feel like, and I definitely feel like he didn't get his justice with the Spider-Man, with the first Spider-Man trilogy, because he could have done more. You know what I mean? Like it could have gone on longer. I feel like he didn't get his chance to really get into Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like he only really got 2 really good stories, and then one really good story, one okay story, and then one really bad story.
One really bad story.
So it averaged out to not being that great, I guess.
Right.
But he had so much more potential in him, and I feel like a lot of fans feel that. And I feel like him being able to hand off the mantle, being like, yo, this is your world, man. Take care of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yo, that's such a great point, Trey. I think that I'm gonna go on the record and say that I'll speak for the both of us when I say Tom Holland is the ideal Spider-Man, just in terms of how he is as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. He has been the best representation of that on screen as a whole so far. I think that's pretty fair to say. With that being said, like you just mentioned, it's very hard for people to reconcile with the fact that Tom Holland is a good Spider-Man, mostly because of how much we grew with Tobey Maguire and how much he was there for our childhood, So it would be really cool to see that manifest on screen and say look, here's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man one more time as an encore performance and a farewell to all the fans who loved him from their youths. And we could see that occur on screen. And then, like you said, literally watch him pass the baton and say, okay, you are Spider-Man now. I'm done with this role. We can all move on together. And that would be so cool to see them do. And it would be so symbolic of how they're trying to create this world and connect all 3 Spider-Men. And it really just feels like, as we're having this conversation, Andrew Garfield feels like the ugly stepchild. And that's kind of a bummer because he wasn't terrible, but
no. And you know what? I take back what I said earlier when we were talking before we started recording, where I said that the best case, when I said also part of my best case scenario was that Tom Holland stays in MCU at the end, and Tobey Maguire goes into the Sonyverse and deals with all the Sonyverse characters that they're coming out with, like Morbius and Venom and Carnage and all those characters, and Kraven, which we'll get to later. But now I'm honestly thinking I want Sam Raimi to put together. I want the Sam Raimi universe to stay the Sam Raimi universe, and for them to go forward and do a Spider-Man 4, replace Spider-Man 3, and just really go through with his vision on what he wants to do. Sam Raimi is what I'm talking about, and also for Andrew. And now a part of my best case scenario is that Andrew Garfield goes into the Sonyverse and deals with, because I feel like his type of Spider-Man fits in that universe very well. I can see him dealing with that version of Eddie Brock. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I do think Andrew Garfield fits in better with the universe they've created now than the one that he was in, partly because the one that he was in was not very well fleshed out. It was pretty weak.
Yeah.
But I agree there. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, any version of keeping all three Spider-Man is probably best case scenario. And I think that I just think that the baton passing between Tobey to Tom Holland would be just a great visual for us to see, you know? Yeah. I think that would be like, that would just make for great cinema right there.
Yeah. And it would just like, it would just really solidify, you know, Tom Holland as, you know, as the Spider-Man, you know,
the
going
one
forward.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, even if it's just lip service for the fans, like it's still like really cool to see.
Yeah. You know? It still serves a great purpose and it's a great message too.
Yeah, definitely.
But wait, oh, sorry. I wanted to touch on the other side of that. Yeah, Spider-Man 4. So yeah, in case people don't know, there was a planned Spider-Man 4 after the very mediocre Spider-Man 3 that never came to fruition. There was a lot of studio meddling and Sam Raimi's script and the vision that he had for it never really got taken too seriously, and then it fizzled out, and that's how we ended up with the Andrew Garfield movies for Spider-Man. But I think that would be such a great thing to do. The only thing is, do you think Tobey Maguire would be willing to do another Spider-Man this late in his career?
I mean, what else has he got going on?
Well, he's got that, right? You know, he's got the, you know, he's got that one that was coming.
I don't see any. I don't see. He might still be eating off of Seabiscuit money, but
hey yo,
I mean, pause, big pause. Oh, big Gatsby. Big pause. Sorry, on the Seabiscuit.
The Seabiscuit.
PG here.
Wasn't he? Didn't he narrate Boss Baby or something? No.
I think. No, that wasn't that. No, Alec Baldwin was the baby.
Yeah, I think he narrated it, but yeah, he hasn't really done much. Would he want to do that? I would hope he'd want to do it because, like you said, I know my man is bored.
Oh, I know. I mean, why not? And I feel like he would feel cheated too by what happens with the way that the third one came out after being such a hit in the second one, you know?
Yeah, his character too got done dirty, and so that might have affected his ability to find like work afterwards, because I feel like he put in some good work at least for the first two, and then the third one, it just felt like the script made him force it, and that was not to his benefit.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, maybe he would want to like give it one more go and be like, yo, this is the performance I could have given you guys had I had the right direction and script and, you know, vision for it. And so yeah, you know, I'd love to see that. I would definitely watch it. That's a great best case scenario.
Yeah, so like the best case scenario definitely involves like keeping all three of these guys, I should say.
Yeah.
And also, part of my best case scenario, we were talking about it earlier, and you came up with a really good idea to bring him into the universe. Is Miles Morales, and we don't even need to like really see him, but just the mere mention of him pays off the cameo that Childish Gambino had in the first movie as the Prowler.
Yeah. So, obviously Miles Morales is the Afro-Latino Spider-Man, created, I think what was it, 2013 that he was created?
It was 2013. It was somewhere between 2013 and 2015. I can't remember.
Yeah, early 2000.
No, it had to be 2013. It had to be 2013 because I was still in high school. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, early 2010s he came in, and people love Miles Morales as Spider-Man. He's an alternate universe Spider-Man.
I believe he's in the Ultimate Universe.
He's in the what?
The Ultimate Universe.
The Ultimate Universe. And again, he just had a movie that did gangbusters, Into the Spider-Verse, maybe the best Spider-Man movie we've ever seen. And now, if you're introducing a live-action Spider-Verse, it begs the question, are they going to hint at, mention, or show Miles Morales. And like you said, yeah, we were talking about it earlier, and any mention of Miles Morales or anything affiliated with him is enough for me. But like you said, they got to follow up with the thread that they started in Homecoming with Donald Glover playing the Prowler, who's obviously Miles Morales' uncle in the comics. They got to. I want to see them continue up with that in some way, But what could they do? We were talking about maybe they could have the police get involved in whatever happens in the plot, and maybe his dad is one of the officers, or maybe they just mention what is the school called? Brooklyn Visions.
Yeah,
Vision Academy. So maybe just mention the school. But that would be a great, cherry on top of this little Spider-Man Sunday, would be seeing Miles Morales get his due somehow in this movie. Because he's a fan favorite. And like you were saying, like he's gonna be there eventually.
Yeah. Like he has to show up eventually. I mean, it's kind of just what Marvel is doing right now, where they're kind of handing off batons, but they can't do that right now with Spider-Man because they haven't had Spider-Man long enough.
Yeah.
And there's still so many stories to tell with Spider-Man.
That's true.
In this universe, especially since he hasn't really even grown much. We've had three movies from him, and he's basically been the same age.
Yeah, exactly. It's the difference.
He's been in five. Well, by the time this movie comes out, he'll be in 5 movies, and we haven't seen him age. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How does that even? Yeah, that's crazy. So we haven't even scratched the surface with who he is as a person. Never mind as a hero. He's still in high school. The first Peter Parker we got was like in college. And there's a whole side of Peter Parker's story to tell when he becomes an adult and has to be a different kind of Spider-Man, a different friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And we're not even halfway there yet. So it's a great point. What do they want to do with Tom Holland? Do they want to throw in another Spider-Man so soon? Because it's only been 5, like Civil War was 2016. It's only been 5 years since Spider-Man's even been in this universe,
Yeah. So I definitely don't want to see Miles Morales. Like I don't want to see him.
Yeah,
I feel like he should have been. I feel like he should have been snapped away in the
snap from
in the blip.
Infinity War. Yep.
Yeah, he should have been snapped away in the blip. And then comes back still young, to the point where Peter can grow into himself and then be able to mentor him.
Yeah.
So I feel like just the mention of like anything around him, like I feel like you definitely like hit it on the head. Like they should definitely use his father like as the police officer and everything like that.
Yeah.
To basically like just to remind us like this guy is here and he's coming. You know what I mean? Just like it's not yet.
Right.
So yeah. So something like that would be perfect. They did. I mean, I have no doubt they're going to do a really great job with introducing Miles Morales at some point, because I mean they did a great job with introducing Monica Rambeau, like really getting her in our heads as like as Spectre, or as becoming Spectre, because they made her they did it a little late, but they made her important in the first Captain Marvel movie.
That's true. She was there, but she also had an established relationship with Carol Danvers, and they laid the groundwork for that, and then they reintroduced her, and now that we know she's going to be in Captain Marvel 2, it just feels connected. It feels like they had a plan, and now they're going to pay off what they set up earlier in that Captain Marvel movie. And in the same way, like you said, as long as they continue to lay the groundwork for Miles Morales, we're going to love them paying off Miles Morales eventually, whether he has his own movie or he shows up in another movie. As long as they set it up properly, we'll be there and we'll support it,
Yeah.
And in addition to that too, I just love that we're getting the potential for more prominent Black characters. Obviously, like you said, Monica Rambeau. We could be getting Miles Morales soon. Before the podcast, we were talking about Riri Williams is going to be here as Ironheart. And it's just like, as we get more and more of these characters, it feels like the story is getting even more personal, because now these are heroes that we can relate to, that we can see ourselves in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what makes it so fun, is that like the better stories they tell, the more personal it feels, the more invested you get, and the more you enjoy them. And you know, that's why I'd love to see Miles, a Miles mention, just so I know, like you said, he's coming somehow.
Yeah,
eventually.
And I feel like they will. I mean, like I feel like it has to happen. But also, like, I've also heard a lot of stuff about the plot of the movie, where both Spider-Man are confirmed, and then like the handing off of the mantle, basically, of the Spider-Man, you know, is given to Tom Holland by Tobey Maguire, and I feel like that would be amazing. Like, that's definitely best case scenario.
Yeah.
Like if that's a part of the movie in some way, then like I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's because like it pays off like a lot of stuff that fans have been feeling about.
Yeah.
You know, the differences between the two and who they like more and preference and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it really like kind of end the debates. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
like those silly debates that like, you know, that go nowhere, that are really all about just about preference and like
exactly.
And there's no debating preference. Like, you know, there's no facts to give. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, there's no wrong answer. If you like Tobey, if you like Tom, if you like Andrew, as Spider-Man, there's no wrong answer. You can. Yeah. I mean, we obviously I would say I prefer Tom Holland. I think you lean towards Tom Holland. I would say, right? Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. But there are aspects of all of them. Like, again, we were talking earlier. Tom is probably the best of both worlds, but Andrew was a fantastic Spider-Man. He just had that, like, the Spider-Man character charisma.
Yeah, definitely.
And Tobey was a good Peter Parker. He gave us that nerdy kind of like mind his own business feel that Peter gives us in the comics. And you know, at the end of the day, whoever you like, you like. I want to see all of them on screen at the same time, whooping ass. That would be, you know, that's best case scenario right there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I mentioned earlier Kraven the Hunter in his first hunt, and they have cast Aaron Taylor Johnson for it.
Yeah. I mean, Kraven is he's a Spider-Man villain in the comics, right? You know, he has
some... and for people who don't know, like could you explain like Aaron Taylor Johnson's like relation to Marvel Comics?
Well, Aaron Taylor Johnson played Quicksilver in Avengers: Age of Ultron, so he does have an MCU character as Pietro Maximoff. He was Wanda's brother. He, spoiler alert, died in that movie, and we thought we were going to get him in WandaVision, but we did not. So it seems like his time in the MCU is potentially done, but now all of a sudden he's been cast as Kraven the Hunter. And, you know, with the Sonyverse starting to manifest itself, it begs the question whether or not he might come into contact with the MCU again as a different character. But I mean, he's a great actor. Aaron Taylor Johnson has been in so many different movies and played so many different roles. You know, he was in Kick-Ass, which was another like superhero movie. He was in like Nocturnal Animals. He played in like A Million Little Pieces. He's got some great range. So he's definitely a good pickup for Sony to play Kraven. But I will miss him as Quicksilver. I was hoping he would get one more like cameo appearance somewhere down the line. That's probably donezo now. But yeah, I love Aaron Taylor Johnson, man. We were talking about like Jason Momoa obviously just looks like Kraven the Hunter. Like that would just be a perfect casting, but I'm not mad at Aaron Taylor Johnson being cast.
Oh, definitely not. And honestly, I feel like this makes it even harder for them to then bring in Tom Holland into the Sonyverse, because it would be too weird for people to see two like actors from the MCU in the same, like, operating in a comic book movie together in that way. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be hard to explain away, like, why does he look just like, you know, her brother, and, you know,
that would be a little confusing if you're not keeping up closely with the MCU and you're just a casual viewer. and all of a sudden you see these two actors' faces, but one of them's playing a different character and the other one's like in a different universe. It would just be kind of weird.
Yeah, which is why like I feel like Andrew Garfield would be perfect for it, because I feel like in that movie,
for the Sonyverse, you mean?
For the Sonyverse and in a Craven movie, Craven's First Hunt type movie, because he has that charisma, he has that like that confidence that Spider-Man needs to have as Spider-Man. But I feel like he's still young too, so like it's all a little bit unearned confidence. So I feel like with a Craven type movie, it gives them the chance to like kind of put that confidence in question.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So like that, I feel like that would be a very cool character arc to follow, and a really cool way for him to see more growth in that character.
Dude, definitely. And you know what else is funny? You know what comic Craven the Hunter debuted in?
Fuck, what was it? What is it?
The Amazing Spider-Man. Issue 15 of Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what issue it was.
Yeah, but obviously Andrew Garfield was Amazing Spider-Man, so like that, it just makes sense. Like, you know, throw him back in the universe. He fits right in.
A lot of sense. And like, and what, like, you'd be printing money. Like you can sell 3 times as many Spider-Man toys now. You know, right. Like it makes too much sense. It makes too much sense to do it. You know what I mean? Like, why not?
Too much sense. Before we move on completely from Spider-Man, I did want to mention real quick, we have been talking a lot about obviously Spider-Man No Way Home for the MCU and who might appear in that, but we didn't really discuss, and we didn't talk about this in the pre-show notes, but we didn't really discuss like who from the MCU is going to be there. You know, there's still, obviously there's the mystery of Mysterio. There's Vulture is still out around somewhere. We got J. Jonah Jameson was confirmed at the end of Far From Home. So like there's still characters from the MCU that are going to appear in this movie in addition to these outside cameos.
So what at least has all been but confirmed is definitely Stephen Strange. Doctor Strange
will be in the movie.
Will be in the movie. Mm-hmm. And to what capacity, I'm not sure. He's probably going to be the reason that other Spider-Men come into the MCU.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Goes into another dimension, because we know that he can travel between dimensions, because he traveled into Dormammu's dimension.
Yeah.
And so
hey yo, I'll tell you what, Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be busy, man. He's booked and busy. He's got his movie, he's got this one, you know, he's going to be connected to so many huge like universe changing events.
But the thing is that it's good because I feel like it's good because I think he genuinely likes doing this stuff.
Yeah.
He was Doctor Who. You know.
Yeah, he was Sherlock. You know, I mean, like.
Yeah, I think he genuinely likes playing these characters.
Yeah.
And likes playing in these movies because they're like interesting to him. I think they're generally interested in him, and I think that like he wouldn't be doing all this if he didn't want to. You know what I mean? Like, it's because it seems like a lot of extra stuff. It's almost like this is like Iron Man levels, like, you know, commitment, you know, to the next phases of the MCU. Right. You know, in terms of the amount of cameos and in terms of the amount of influence he has across different, you know, franchises.
Yeah, and he's good at it. I love his portrayal as Doctor Strange. So that'll be cool to see, like, him maybe step into the Tony Stark role of mentor to Tom Holland and like maybe send him on his way through the multiverse to go find someone else who would rather mentor him. Because while I would love to see that dynamic, Doctor Strange probably isn't the best person to be mentoring Spider-Man because like he doesn't really know the kid, you know?
Yeah, and then also it's just they operate on different levels, completely different levels.
Oh yeah. Tony and Peter were similar, but you know, the only thing Doctor Strange and Peter have in common are that they're both Avengers.
Yeah, they both fought Thanos. Like, that's
they both fought Thanos. They both been to you know, Titan.
Yeah, that's really it. But like, they don't really like their day-to-day jobs are very, very different.
Very different. Yeah. So
Doctor Strange is not going on patrol. Like,
no, he's got way bigger issues to deal with.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's going to be in the movie. Obviously, for the most part, I think everyone from the first two Spider-Man movies. You know, MJ, I think she's going to be Zendaya's MJ is going to be back. I think, you know, whatever, like Jacob Batalon's Ned is going to be back. Tony Revolori's Flash Thompson will be back. The teachers, played by JB Smoove and oh my goodness, Martin Starr.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
from Silicon Valley.
Yeah, they'll both be back. And then obviously, hopefully, I mean, I think Aunt May is going to be in it, and I think Happy Hogan. But I mean, I assume everyone from those movies will be back. But yeah, where are they going to show Vulture? Is Mysterio going to be in this third one? Because like it seems like he's dead, but maybe he's not dead.
I think that he will be referenced.
At
the very least, he'll be referenced.
Well, he certainly left Peter up Schitt's Creek at the end of the last movie, so like he's got to have some influence on this one.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Whether or not he'll actually make like a live appearance, or if it's just going to be just old footage.
Yeah, exactly.
Is seen, but
well, dude, remember
he's definitely going to be an influence on the movie, and he's definitely going to make some sort of cameo or be referenced in some way in the movie.
Well, also remember his whole team is still alive too. Like all the people that worked on that illusion with him, like they're all still there. He just like supposedly died, and they must have just dipped, which they could still be a force, you know.
That's very true.
A contingency plan for him in case he died.
He was just the brains of it. Like they still have the capability.
Yeah, they could still very much just do it themselves and bring him back themselves.
And I'm sure, and I feel like I'm sure they have protocols for this very, you know, contingency. You know.
Yeah, I don't think they completely assumed that he would just beat Spider-Man. Like there had to be a backup plan.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So. With that.
Yeah, we'll see how they work in. It's gonna be a jam-packed movie, man.
Yeah, I wonder how long this movie is gonna be.
I would sit through like 7 hours of this movie. They could
honestly, just fucking break it up into parts the same way they did with Zack Snyder's Snyder.
Yeah, just give me 6 parts of this movie, all an hour and a half each.
Literally,
I'll be there.
Or just give it to me as a series, but give it to me Netflix style. This all comes out all at once.
So I can binge it and consume it.
Yeah, literally.
Fiend I am.
But yeah, I would literally sit through hours of this movie. But realistically, I'm pretty sure it's gonna tap out at 3 hours.
Yeah,
give or take
3.
Yeah, so just probably just under 3 or just over 3.
I mean, I would
because there's too many characters. There's too many characters involved. There's too much screen. You have to give screen time to each of these characters if you really want to build this story out like well. You're gonna have to give each of them like their just amount of screen time. Yeah. And I feel like that would be hard in a 2-hour movie format. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to be one of the bigger, the longer.
You know, even 2.5 hours is like I feel like not enough. I feel like it has to hit like that right underneath 3 hours, like over 3 hour limit.
Yeah, I mean, Endgame was pretty jam packed, and that was 3 hours, and it still felt like they had some room to breathe. So,
yeah,
I would say if they're gonna do Spider-Verse, which I desperately hope that they do, it's got to push that threshold too, because there's a lot of story to tell. And again, it's easy money. Like if you want the money, I will buy the ticket. You know, I'll be there.
Oh, definitely. I think it's gonna. But regardless, I mean, like I think it's gonna be a great movie. I think that they definitely are gonna do Spider-Verse. Like I'm definitely calling it. They're definitely doing Spider-Verse. Tobey Maguire is definitely gonna be in the movie.
They're definitely gonna to decanonize Spider-Man 3.
And they're definitely going to get rid of Spider-Man 3. And like I feel like I wholeheartedly believe that these things are gonna happen in this movie. Like, I don't care what they say, like how many times they say, I'm not in the movie, blah, blah, blah. They're gonna be in the movie, bro.
Yeah. Until I sit in the theater and I watch it, I don't believe a word you're saying.
And the voice and the dude that does the Spanish dub was asked point blank, like, yo, like, are you working on any Spider-Man? Are you working on any Spider-Man projects? And like, he was very vague about it, but he didn't say no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
and that interview got taken down and re-edited and put back up without that question.
Really?
So, you know, another Sony snafu, you know.
Another Sony snafu.
Believe that we're definitely gonna get Spider-Verse in this next upcoming movie. And I'm super, super, super excited to see this. You know what? I'm also super, super excited for, and also believe wholeheartedly is going to be an amazing movie.
Oh boy, I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Just to disconnect from Spider-Man for a moment.
We're switching back from MCU to
Robert
DC.
Pattinson's Batman. Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson's Batman. Dude. I think that's going to be the best Batman movie we've ever seen. Better than Dark Knight. I know, bold, and I know people are going to get mad at me saying that, but yes, I do believe it's going to be better than Dark Knight. I think we're going to be getting Sherlock Wayne, or Bruce Holmes, as you will. We're going to be getting Detective Batman. It's going to be more of like a thriller, sort of like a thriller where you have to follow this mystery with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really giving me a lot of Hush vibes, and I really do see it leading into Court of Owls later on. And like, they're even going to be doing, and Warner Brothers is so excited and so confident in this movie that they're giving Matt Reeves a show on HBO Max.
Yeah, they have that
about Gotham and Batman.
Yeah, which kind of feels redundant because I don't know if you watched Gotham, but Gotham was solid.
Gotham was solid.
That was about the police department, and this one is also going to be about that, but different world. So I'll still watch it. But yeah, that they're really confident in Matt Reeves in this Batman project. You were talking about how Robert Pattinson just signed a deal with a first look deal with Warner Brothers, which basically means he gets, you know, dibs on whatever project he wants. And that just shows like they're confident in this guy as an actor. They're confident in Matt Reeves. Like, they're ready to go with this thing. And I'm excited, but I gotta say, you think it's gonna be better than The Dark Knight?
Yes.
Like The Dark Knight.
Yes, because
that's a bold.
Like there's gonna be like there's gonna be a lot of mystery around who really is pulling the strings in Gotham. I think we're gonna get more world building in terms of like what the Gotham underworld is really like, as opposed to just seeing these supervillains. Because what the first one we saw Scarecrow, who is a supervillain. I mean, he doesn't have superpowers, but like he has a whole gimmick and the shtick that he has. And then we saw the Joker, who is the supervillain. And we only really got mentions of the Maroni and the Falcone family.
Yeah. And they are a huge part of the comics.
Yeah, and like a part of what makes Batman so cool is that he has this part of his rogues list that he can't just go and beat up. You know what I mean? He can't just find and beat the crap out of. You know, he has to play by the rules. He has to use his detective skills more often to really handle these types of criminals. Like, I want to see them flesh out what organized crime is like, and also just from what I've seen of the trailer, I like the suit a lot. Like, the suit has definitely grown on. It gives me very punk, very Batman by Gaslight type of vibes.
Yeah,
and I really do think that that is going to be I think that they're going to execute it really well with the suit, and also the fighting style seems very like rough and like very very unrefined, like, you know, like not exactly year one Batman, but year two Batman. Like, you know what I mean? He's still really finding his footing, but like he's not a rookie in it. You know what I mean?
And that's a great place to pick up on Batman because, like you said, it's unrefined. He's still working out all the kinks. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with, but he's not like in his prime where he's like you said, this detective who can maneuver an investigation and get through this mystery, and then also has like the technical fighting skills and combat skills to like take down any foe. He's still getting there. And you were pointing out earlier this morning how in the trailer he's like beating up this guy, and it just seems like it's so rugged and it's so raw. And that's different than the Batman we've seen. We got a little bit of that from Affleck, and it was like the coolest part of Affleck's portrayal. But it seems like we're going to get that in totality as a full, you know, feature film. And to your point, we didn't get much of detective, you know, Sherlock Wayne, Bruce Holmes in the Dark Knight trilogy. And we see him working with the police in this trailer for the Batman. And we see him like, you know, looking at clues. And it seems like we're going to get that in full force here. And like, that's like part of Batman's, you know, that's his whole shtick. He solves crimes, and then he takes down the bad guys who commit the crimes, you know?
Yeah.
It's a whole dynamic. And like you said, like this feels like it can be fleshed out really well. It can be turned into this entire world. And there's so much room to explore here. It's just, I'm ready for this movie. I don't know if I'm ready to say it'll be better than The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's one of the best movies ever made. But I'll be happy if it is. You know, I have full faith that they're going to do a good job, just because I like Robert Pattinson. I like Matt Reeves. But damn, better than The Dark Knight? Come on, brother. That's a lot.
Oh man, I think that we get a real detective mystery thriller from Batman in this one, because I think that just because of the fact that they've been stressing that it's not a year one Batman, it's a year two Batman. So like he's a good detective, but he hasn't really worked everything out. So I think that we're gonna get someone who is still figuring things out, and we're gonna be figuring things out along with him as it goes, which I think we literally have never gotten out of a Batman.
Yeah, we need that.
Where it's almost like you're reading the comic, where you're just figuring out as the movie goes along, as the book goes along, you know?
Yeah. You pointed that out. In all three Batman trilogy movies, you realize very early who's the one. Well, I don't know. Batman Begins has a pretty good twist.
Yeah, Batman Begins is a little bit, yeah.
But in The Dark Knight, which is like the magnum opus of, you know, superhero storytelling, you find out pretty quickly who's doing all the dastardly deeds, and same with in The Dark Knight Rises. And even though, you know, I mean, also in Batman Begins, though, too, if you know the comics, you know that this guy is Liam Neeson. You knew he was up to no good. And then they also had Scarecrow, who was a villain there, too. So it was kind of just like there was no mystery. It was more just like, okay, here's the problem. How's Batman going to solve it? And that's not who Batman is. More of it in the comics, it's, okay, what is the problem and how is he going to solve it? You know?
Because he has so many. The thing is, like, I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick and then debunk what I'm getting ready to say. So, like, because they're basing everything off of the comics, it might be kind of hard for them to, like, really create that sort of mystery. But at the same time, Batman he has so many different people in his rogues gallery that he could literally, that like if you're doing like a mystery one, like you're trying to figure out who's doing it, like you can do that with with Batman, because there's so many people that use like different clues, you know what I mean, like say and do different types of stuff, and like there's a lot of them work
together too.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like and they've all worked together as well. So I think that they'll be able to cash in on that type of mystery.
Yeah,
this next movie for sure. And plus, he is vengeance. I mean, we are talking about it earlier.
He is vengeance.
He even says it in the trailer. He's like, "I'm vengeance," and and you know, I love that because that's literally that's what he is at his core. He is vengeance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not even justice. He's vengeance. You know what I mean? There's a distinct difference between the two. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Someone did something bad to his parents, and now he's going to stop everyone else from doing anything bad ever again because of it. That's his thing.
Yeah, and like he's not justice. He's vengeance because justice, I feel like, doesn't involve severe punishments.
No, justice does not involve, you know,
severe punishment. It involves trachea, but mostly teaching. Yeah. So he is vengeance. He's like, you did something bad is going to happen to you now. You know what I mean? That's what he is.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were talking about just like how interesting that is for his character, especially in regards to Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
that's how Perry is basically a clone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Batman Beyond, one of my favorite Batman renditions ever. That show is impeccable.
Yeah, and like what they did in the show, what Amanda Waller does in that show, basically, you know, setting up a second Bruce Wayne is kind of genius. It's kind of ingenious of her, like mad scientist level genius by Amanda Waller. Like, so like, if most people don't know, like Terry McGinnis, the Batman and Batman Beyond, is basically a clone of Bruce.
Yeah.
And at some point he loses his father to like some sort of gang related violence. And that was the trauma that kind of like sparks him to, you know, become vengeance the same way that Bruce is, but not in the same, because he still has that, like you said earlier, he still has that tether. He still has his mother to keep him grounded. You know what I mean? Like a more like I think Amanda's purpose for doing this was really more to create a Batman that was easier to control, one that was more connected to humanity, one that could like be reasoned with more. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, but again, like that's what makes Batman so cool, is that there's so many layers to who Batman is, and so many what ifs. What if he did have the one parent? Well, we saw that in Batman Beyond. You know, what if he was this? Like, it just goes to show, like, he can be explored in so many different ways, and there's so many great stories to tell within Batman. Batman Beyond could be way down the line. But
the one thing that is constant is vengeance, and as soon as something bad happens to him, boom, it changes everything. His entire life
legacy. The Batman legacy never wavers. That is always the same. He's always vengeance. He's always going to oppose, you know, lawful evil with lawful good. Even if his methods are a little spine breaky. Yeah, even if he's a little outside the law, his purpose and his mission is always the same.
Yeah, definitely. It's always vengeance and justice to a certain degree.
Yeah, and that's what they do in Batman Beyond, and I hope they also continue that with the Batman movie, and they show that through, you know, through Robert Pattinson, because the investigative part, the detective part, that is something that is sorely missed, and I definitely agree we got to see that in full. But I mean, I still want to see him whoop some ass. Like, he's still gonna beat some heads in, you know.
I want to see him. I want to like, and because the suit gives me that Batman by Gaslight vibe, I liked Batman by Gaslight as a movie a lot, because it did give you that mystery. Like, it was almost like obviously the Joker is Jack the Ripper, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then it ends up being Commissioner Gordon. You know, spoiler alert.
Damn, you're just full of spoilers today.
Sorry. but yeah, so it's like I want to be given that sort of like oh wow, okay, that's pretty cool. That's a cool twist. I want to see like a really cool twist at the end where maybe they do introduce the Court of Owls.
Mm-hmm. And the beauty of the movie too, Trey, is that at the end of the day, like you said, there are a lot of comic storylines. So like we know for the most part the direction that these characters move. But at the end of the day, they're their own movie. They could kind of take it their own direction and surprise us with something that deviates from the comics but still honors the characters.
No, yeah, totally. Like, and I feel like that's what we've been talking about for years, where we want to see DC just like stop trying to give us this universe of characters. Like, just first start with each character individually.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And tell good stories.
Like build their lives out. Like, tell me who they are, and tell me about where they fight their crime. And then of course build out and create these universes and create these team ups and everything like that. But before you do that, I have to know who these people are. Like, I don't really know anything about Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yeah, I have no knowledge of him besides he hated Superman for like 45 minutes and he has a lot of money.
And his mom's name is Martha.
His mom's name was Martha. That is also a very key fact about Bruce Wayne. His mother had the same name as Clark's adoptive mother. So. But yeah, you're right. Like, they need to just, and that, again, that's what makes the Batman movie look so, look so interesting, is that it seems like they're going to delve into like what makes Batman Batman. And you did see a little bit of Pattinson playing Bruce Wayne. And if you know Batman stories from the comics, everything has something to do with the Wayne family, and it's all about legacy, and it's all about, what you'll do for your reputation and your family. And if they explore all that in the movie in an honest way, like, I can't see how they could mess it up,
Yeah. No, totally. So I mean, like, that's really all I have to say about that at the moment. Because I mean, like, I don't know a whole lot. I've been watching the trailers and everything like that, and I've been seeing like all the Hush vibes and like Riddler, all the Riddler stuff that's been popping up on there, that like that people believe is like the Riddler that's doing all this stuff. So like like I've seen all that stuff and I've just been like super excited by it. Like, I really haven't even like tried to like make up theories about it. Like, I've just been kind of wanting to like take this as like a true fan. And, like,
yeah, exactly.
Just take it as it comes. Pause. Trying to keep it PG out here. I'm sorry.
But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, it's fun to theorize, but at the end of the day, like, the director, the writer, the producers, they're going to put out the content as they intend it. And sometimes it's okay to just consume that as is,
and there hasn't really been any leaks for this.
Not huge ones. And the theories have been, like we were saying, like, it's a grounded story. We don't need to theorize. It's more about them just like, okay, take us into this world, introduce us to these characters, and tell a cohesive, complex, riveting story, and we're sold, and it seems like that's what they want to do, instead of making it like this grand, gesture full of action set pieces and like explosions and CGI. It just seems like they're just trying to tell a good story with good characters. And like you said, if this is Batman in year 2-ish, you've got plenty of room to do that, because he's not a perfect Batman. And we know Gotham is an absolute mess, so there's tons of stories to tell there. It's gonna be good. I don't know if I can say it's gonna be better than The Dark Knight, though.
I told you. I told you.
That's
earlier,
your call. All right, we heard it here first. All right,
you heard it here first. Better than The Dark Knight.
All right, man. Shoot. I hope it is. I really hope it is.
I feel it. I definitely feel that.
You feel it in your bones?
I do. I feel it right. I feel it in my bones. Like,
okay. All right. Okay. I mean, I trust that feeling,
mean, that might be the, but, you know, but yeah, yeah, I think that this has been a pretty good episode. We can leave it at that.
Yeah, that's a good place to stop.
Yeah,
yeah,
this has been great. So like, definitely just in conclusion of what we've been talking about, best case scenario, we keep all Spider-Man in some sort of universe. Like we keep the Sam Raimi universe. Andrew Garfield goes into the Sonyverse, and Tom Holland stays in the MCU, and we get a reference or cameo from Miles Morales.
Yeah. I think I agree. Anything that gives us the most Spider-Man content, I think that falls under best case scenario, and you just touched on all of it. So I agree, man. I think we pretty much said all that needed to be said there. And in terms of Batman, you have your absolutely crazy theory that it's going to be better than The Dark Knight. And you know what, folks? We're gonna ride that train out. We're gonna see. I can't wait. I can't wait for both these movies to come out, honestly. Just to see like what stories they're gonna tell, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, definitely. And also, before we leave, Charlie Cox is showing up as Daredevil.
Oh my God, get out of here! All right, we're done.
Charlie Cox is coming back as Daredevil. He's gonna be Peter's lawyer through the thing, through the beginning of the movie. Mark my words, you heard it here, not first but last. And
all right, I mean, you sure about that? You think that's a big reach? It's a big reach.
Oh yeah, like fuck your expectations. Like blow those shit sky high.
Facts. Yo, just they might as well go big or actually just go home.
Literally. Like like I really do. I don't believe that's gonna happen, honestly. But yeah, yeah, this has been great, man. This has been episode 2.
Episode 2. Thanks for
Mango and Milk.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all.
Yeah. Till next week.
Milk. All right, man. I'ma holla at you.
All right, peace.
Peace.